All right, so I want to give you an overview of the department that the numbers, the graphs, the charts are just not going to give you. So if you're hoping for a lot of graphs and numbers, you're going to be disappointed, and I'm sorry about that. But I hope you can understand where we're coming from after the presentation. So we start out by using some guiding principles. We have three. The first one is to do what's best for the student. And since, me personally and some of my other colleagues here are dealing with hazardous materials, the first thing we've got to be cognizant of is students' mental health. If someone's having a bad day, I really don't want to do something risky. And we also got to look at our students. Sometimes life gets in the way and they're not always performing optimally. And we may have to shift our plans. So student mental health is the very first thing we look at in everything we do and every lesson we plan. We also are continuously trying to redefine student self-worth. Far too often our students today are a number, a letter, or a rank. And that's just not healthy. It leads to so many other things that, too many anxieties. That's what I'm going to say. We want to instill a love of learning for students, and we want to prepare students for life after school, whether it's AMSA, into real life, or into college. The second guiding principle I would have here is failure is an integral part of learning. We need to make an environment that's safe for students to make mistakes. We have to encourage risk-taking and creativity. Growth will come from struggle, mistakes, and challenges. The third one is, and this is one of the hardest ones for us to do, is to have all of our instruction be experience-based. It's not really advantageous to have a sage on the stage telling people about science. Science is something you need to do. You need to get your hands dirty. You need to be coding. You need to be building. You need to be titrating like this young lady is right there. And we need to engage students with applications of knowledge and skill. Knowledge is not enough in this field. We want to build understanding and confidence through real-world applications. Now, there aren't a lot of people that are going to be titrating like this girl is, but knowing an equilibrium that you learn through hands-on experience is extremely valuable. So, in honor of Dr. Lewis, we're going to go back in time to 2005. It's hard to appreciate where we are if we don't understand first where we came from. So I am the second longest employee here. I came just after Dr. Lewis. When we first got here, I was one of the 3 part-time teachers, and we had 2 full-time teachers in the science and computer science department. We had rooms. We had tables, mismatched chairs, no lab equipment whatsoever. We didn't even have computers. We were doing CS Unplugged for 3 months. And quite frankly, we didn't realize how much we still had to do. We just thought if we got computers, we'd be okay. If we got some lab tables, we'd be okay. And we were, and we grew. So today, we have 19 full-time science teachers. We are operating 38 different courses with multiple sections and or levels. We have 3 fully functioning science labs. We have 6 computer science labs. And we have 8 science classrooms with minimal capability. On the left-hand side there, that's our science classroom. They're not labs, but we do our best. So, our current offerings here. This is from our 8th grade parent night. So we do Java, Web, and CAD in 9th grade. And we advance it in 10th grade. So you've got Web, CAD, and Advanced Java is also our AP Computer Science. We really start to differentiate and increase the level of rigor in our 11th and 12th grades, where we're picking up cybersecurity, intro to robotics, data science, which is a hybrid Oracle class. It's going to be big data soon. We have 2 co-taught classes with other departments. One's a discrete math and computer science class. And we have a new digital media class that we are co-teaching with Art. Next one, please. So in science, traditional offerings, bio, chem, physics. So 9th grade is biology, 10th grade is physics, or excuse me, 10th grade is chemistry, 11th grade is physics. Then we have AP bio, AP chem, AP physics. So we really start to differentiate again here in our 11th and 12th grades, where we're getting our electives, we're rotating them in and out. Core electives that we're running, environmental sustainability, and our research program. And that is what really sets us completely apart. Now, our research program was an answer to a former executive director who wanted me to go around and map where STEM was at AMSA. That was not something I was going to engage in, I'm sorry. I said, if you want me to do that, I'll create you a research program, and if somebody questions whether or not we're doing STEM, have them come in and take a look at it, and there will be no questions after that. So our research program is exactly modeled after grad school research programs. Students come into the program like grad students would. They have to learn about their project, they have to research their project, they have to acquire the skills necessary to gather the evidence and analyze the evidence. They have to put forth a hypothesis, and then they got to do a set of experiments to engage that hypothesis. All while doing that 45 minutes every day, or in some cases every other day. So we pick them up in 10th grade, and hopefully we keep them through 12th grade. So currently the 4 areas we have are molecular biology, geochemistry, we have wildlife management, for lack of a better title, and then in engineering. So in our molecular biology, we really are trying to give kids a task or a project that you cannot look up. There is no answer. No one on the planet has done this before, period. So our flagship molecular biology, we're working with a cancer gene. It's called prominent 1 or CD133. It's widely known in a whole host of types of cancers. We are working on it, and we're trying to, we're working on the gene, not working on any cancer. We are trying to attach a glowing fluorescent protein to this gene to make it a multi-step process to be able to identify this protein when it's in your body. Now, we're not doing any body studies here, we're just doing little test tube stuff. But no one's doing this. This is a completely novel experiment that Mr. Bengiovanni has developed. And it's got an enormous lifespan for this research, because currently the gene we're looking at, no one can quite figure it out because we haven't crystallized it yet. No one has, at least not as of right now. And without that, we don't know what its structure is. Without that, we can't build an antibody to make this system complete. So we have a lot of work to do if we're going to get to that point. But this whole research program is about the process, getting the kids engaged, having them go through the motions. Like in this program, they're going to use various techniques: transformation, plasmid design, nucleotide design, electrophoresis, PAGE. But it literally is the plasmid design and the nucleotide design that we force them to do, that schools don't do, colleges seldom do, grad schools do. And we're using the same programs, whether it's AdGene or SnapGene, wherever the online program we got now, to model these proteins, the sequence together, and then we purchase said sequence from partners like Sigma Aldrich. We get it in and we insert it into our plasmid and into the cell. So there's a lot of complex stuff going on there. So if we shift over now to geochemistry, those students have only a small task. Their task with mapping the heavy metal contamination in the Seismic River using X-ray fluorescence spectrophotometry. That's a machine we have, and we're going to utilize to a hopefully good extent. And we're going to map all the contamination, heavy metal contamination that's in the Seismic River. So it requires students to go out, take samples, properly prepare the samples, then analyze said samples with wet chem techniques, then through our spectrophotometer. Then we have to actually go out and send our samples out to have a third party verify our results before we can even start to present them. So, next slide. So our wildlife management, that's a really interesting one, but has shown the most results. Their goal was to do like an ecological survey of this little spit of land right behind us, in between 495 and in between that massive development right down there. So it's not many acres. Yet we have evidence that we have coyotes, we have river otters, we have deer. We don't have anything like moose or anything. That'd be cool. But there's an enormous amount of wildlife in that one little area. I was very surprised. I mean, it's landlocked by massive, massive human structures, and yet life goes on. So that's interesting. Our engineering research is one of, I think, of our most promising ones, where we have students engaged in all parts of the design. And now that we have 3D printing capability, last year one of our students decided that he was going to take on golf club design and test these new golf clubs that he was going to print. And we did. It was an epic failure. But it led to 3 more designs, and he was able to hit that ball further and further and further with each design. This guy absolutely loves golf, wants to go to school for golf, and he just got so much out of it. So we're expanding that program, and we're going to tie it in with our AMSA racing team. And yes, we do have an AMSA racing team, which is currently populated with far more girls than there are boys now. So, through our research, we've been able to bring in some companies like Millipore Sigma, General Electric to speak to our students. We've also had Google, the Deputy Director of the NSA, and Microsoft Security, as well as Thermo Fisher, that came in to speak to our cybersecurity class about security concerns in industry. And those connections have led to internships, which we have had over the year. And the majority of them here have been the last 1 to 2 years, where UMass Medical, Harvard, Thermo Fisher is thanks to our good friend Michael Glass. And I heard he was going to increase the number of interns this year. So, you know, congratulations to him for that. That's awesome. Morpho Trust actually comes to our school. Hopefully again this year they will too. They are a security company. They come in, they interview our students, and they hand pick the students to intern. So we had about 20 to 30, would you say?
25.
25 from last year that went and did internships. Hopefully we'll get the same amount again next year, if not, or this year, if not more. But it's not just those programs which inspire students to lead or take advantage. We have had our students initiate programs, and it's really been inspiring, where we have had students initiate the CS Sparks program, where they would go out to areas like town halls and Museum of Science and Microsoft stores, and what they would do is they would put on little demonstrations to get kids excited to learn more about computer science. And they would do this on Saturdays and on holidays, and they would go out and they would just engage kids. We also send every single year, when other schools are doing the actual code, we send our students to go do that for them. We don't bring the hour code here, that's all we do is code. We send our students out to other schools to help them and get those students excited. And I know Mr. Noble brings kids to Marlboro to initiate the hour code there. We've had some students decide that our neighbors there, Schmach, were underserved, and they decided to develop a science program, and they were going over there and running science programs for those kids. They're young kids too, so it was pretty impressive. We also empower our faculty. So years back, a couple of my faculty members came to me and said, could we start a Computer Science Teacher Association chapter for Massachusetts? And I said, sure, I'll support it. Well, they did. They created that chapter. They started bringing in the teachers, and we had it here for numerous years. They started bringing in teachers all around Massachusetts. They brought in Google. They brought in Microsoft. They brought in all these other industry leaders. Actually, MIT felt bad, and they wanted to join too. That's how we actually got the App Inventor. We were the first school to actually run the App Inventor. In fact, it was so unusual at that time that 2 of my teachers went to a college and taught other teachers how to initiate the App Inventor program in their school. We're also extremely instrumental in developing the digital literacy and computer science standards for the state of Massachusetts, as well as creating the CS licensure tests, the objectives for that. We've had our students present at National Geological Society conferences. We've had students attempt publication. I don't know if the sheet got published, but attempt publication in a molecular biology paper. A high school student took some of our research and wanted to submit it for publication, which is huge. We had one student that said, I've got $5,000, I want to have this idea, I'm going to go get a patent, what do you think? And we said, we can help you do it, and you can just pay the filing fees, and the student did. He actually got a preliminary patent issued on his idea for a magnetic binder. And one of the, last but not least here, the one thing that I'm most proud of is through AMSA Unique Activities, which is CS Gems, CS Gents, WIMA Science, AMSA Racing, and a plethora of other after-school clubs and activities. We have more girls than boys in every single of my advanced classes in the science and computer science department. They outnumber the men 2 to 1 in some cases. I have always had more girls than boys in AP Chem, every year. And they're seeking it out. We encourage all to take advantage of it, and for whatever reason, the females feel very empowered and very supported, and they're doing fantastic at it. So that's awesome. So what are we currently working towards? Right now, my main goal is to get the lecture out of class. We have more hands-on activities, more lab activities that promote content and application. We need to increase our focus on essential skills: curiosity, imagination, critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, and accessing and analyzing data. And we're trying to make some integrated courses like meteorology that's coupled with a big data class and something like that. That's to come now. So the science department of tomorrow, like I said, increased lab-based instruction. This is limited by space. In order for us to do more, I have to have prep rooms, we have to have a little more space for stuff. We are stuff people. That's just We want to expand our research program to access more students in more areas of discipline. With that, we want to shift the focus from the test-driven curriculum, which is AP, to our in-house science programs. The theory and thought behind that is you'd be hard-pressed to find a high school that does not have AP Chem, AP Bio, or AP Physics. There is not another high school in this nation that has research. period. And if we want to differentiate our kids, we don't do away with AP, we increase research, because that's the unique identifier. And I'll tell you what, when you hear those students talk about their research, it is inspiring. It really is. It's not a science fair. These kids did everything on their own, right here under our supervision. They fail. They fail a lot, but they keep going. So, back one, please. One of the main things for computer science, we have to update our computer science labs. They're too classroom-like. We want to create a collaborative, inspirational space. We have reached out to Google to help with design and maybe funding. That'd be awesome. But more importantly, to service our students, we have to continue to evolve the CS curriculum to meet the challenges of tomorrow. And that means me sending my CS teachers to all the conferences. We are running courses here that colleges do not have. Cybersecurity came out of Ms. Bandaro and Mr. Alvarez going to SIGSI. They're partnered with Boston University and Stanford to bring us our cybersecurity. We are trying to bring in a big data class, but there's nothing out there. No school is doing it. They're looking at doing it, and we are going to launch it next year. And it may not be as encompassing as possible, but we are trying to lead the way. Get those kids excited about those areas. Big data is going to be a huge field. It's not going away. Let's embrace it. Cybersecurity, I mean, come on. We've almost all been hacked right now with experience, so that's something that's happening. So what do we need? I was told to give and ask. So the first one, I believe we're looking at that according to Dr. Lewis's statement on the facility search is ongoing. So yes, we would like more space. We want to increase our course offerings and resources. Resources, that would be the humankind. So we are currently running our teachers at full capacity. They're at 20, without me included, we're at 24.5 hours a teacher. And I have 19 teachers, so if I want to add a course, I have to take a course alone. I can't run them all. With more space is going to require equipment investment, not the $5,000, $10,000 thing I can put in a budget, but outfitting a lab is pricey. So that's a board thing. One thing that I don't think has ever come up is back in 2007 when we did our graduation requirements, the iPhone came out. I'm on the iPhone 10 right now, and we still have the same graduation requirements. Do they fit the current student need? And I don't know. I know from science, I would like more science. I have heard through the grapevine that Dr. Lewis wants a citizenship. I've heard through the grapevine that Lou Schmidt would like another geometry requirement. But if we put so many requirements in, something's got to give. So I think a bigger entity should look at all those requirements and not just incrementally add till we don't have any more classes but requirements. So please take up that mantle in a committee. And last but not least, we need to determine another way to define and measure success at AMSA. Numbers are a way. But if we're talking about the whole child and student health, I don't think numbers are getting at what we need. There are other institutions like Hampshire College and various charter schools that measure success differently. Hampshire College doesn't have grades. How do those students graduate and get jobs without grades? If grades are so important, that's my question. I don't know the answer. If I did, I'd be presenting you the answer. So, lastly, coming up is our third annual Science Week, April 3rd. Mark your calendars. All are welcome. We got about 30 students. It's going to be on the 3rd floor here. It's a Tuesday night.
So don't forget second floor too.
Second floor computer science labs too. It'll be, hopefully the presentations will work then. We will have cybersecurity presentations. We will have geoscience, molecular biology. It's going to be a good time. Engage the students, ask good questions, tell friends, tell family. Bring everybody. We can hold over 1,000 people in the school. All right. With that, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Dr. J.